Well, we are down to the final installment of this new reboot sequel Halloween trilogy. And what can I say? Well, I guess I could see that coming a mile away. Hey everyone, it's Don J. Corleone here, and I am here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for a new horror film and horror sequel that just came out this weekend. And it's for the third and final installment of a reboot sequel trilogy, whatever you want to call it. But yeah. And it's for a film that's proven to be pretty divisive from what I've seen with the first reactions, but technically this movie comes out today, but I saw a Thursday night preview of this tonight. I got back from seeing it, and this film is going to be none other than this weekend's Halloween Ends, the third installment of the Halloween reboot sequel trilogy and finale of it. Anyway, what's the plot of this? Well, 4 years after the events of last year's Halloween Kills, Laurie is living with her granddaughter Allison and is finishing writing her memoir. Michael Myers hasn't been seen since his last brutal rampage in Halloween Kills. Laurie, after allowing the specter of Michael to drive her reality for decades, has decided to liberate herself from fear and rage and entrance life. But when a young man, Corey Cunningham, is accused of killing a boy he has been babysitting, he ignites a cascade of violence and terror that will force Laurie to finally confront the evil she can't control once and for all. Yeah, so how was this movie made? Well, in June 2018, Danny McBride confirmed that he and David Gordon Green had originally intended to pitch two films that would be shot back-to-back, but then decided against it because he wanted to see the reaction to Halloween Kills. Wanted to see the reaction to Halloween 2018. What he said was they were going to show two of them back-to-back. Then they were like, nah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This could come out and everyone could hate us and we'd never work again. So let's not have to sit around for a year while we wait for another movie to come out that we know people aren't going to like. So, they were like, let's learn from this and see what works and what doesn't. But they definitely had an idea of where they would go with this branch of the story, and hopefully they get a chance to do it. Then in September 2018, producer Jason Blum said that they will do a sequel if the movie performs well. October 2018, after that film's opening weekend, McBride confirmed that early development on a sequel had begun. Then in June 2019, Bloody Disgusting reported that the third film was in development along with the then untitled Halloween Kills, with Green returning as director. The site also claimed that the studio was considering releasing both films in October 2020. Green, McBride, and Jeff Riley had initially planned out a two-film story arc, but will ultimately opt for a trilogy after realizing they had more material than they originally thought. Later that month, Universal Pictures revealed the titles and release dates of the two sequels. Halloween Kills was going to be released originally in October 2020, and Halloween Ends would be released in October 2021. Green was officially announced to direct both films and co-write the scripts with McBride, while Jamie Lee Curtis would reprise her role in both films. Scott Thames was confirmed as a co-writer for Halloween Kills, while Paul, Brad Logan, and Chris Bernier were announced co-writers of the Halloween Ends. Judy Greer and Andy Mattielak were confirmed to reprise their roles as Karen and Allison that same month. Blum Malik Akkad, and Bill Block were slated to produce the film, while John Carpenter, Curtis Green, and McBride were attached as executive producers once again, but of course we all know because COVID happened, Universal Pictures had to move Halloween Kills to 2021, and Halloween Ends had to move to October 2022. Last year and this year. And then after Halloween Kills came out last year, got some not pretty reactions. Green revealed in October 21 that Halloween Ends would instead be taking place 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills and incorporate elements of the COVID-19 pandemic into the story. In an interview that same month, Kurz claimed that the film would be shocking and will make people very mad. Ackett stated that the film would be more contained than the previous film, while Green called it a coming-of-age story, promising a more intimate film in line with Carpenter's Christine. Green even hinted that McBride had requested a cameo in the film, potentially as a character fights Myers, but doesn't really happen, guys. Spoiler alert. So yeah, after we got the trailers, Halloween Ends premiered at Beyond Fest this week on Tuesday in Los Angeles on October 11th, 2022, and has been officially released today on October 14th in theaters in the United States, and was also streamed seamlessly on a streaming device called Peacock for 60 days. It has so far received more mixed, divisive reviews from both critics and fans. Anyway, as for my reaction, I had got back from seeing the Thursday night preview for the film, and what did I think of it? Well, let's just say while this movie was not bad per se, it was not really an enjoyable way to end the new trilogy of the franchise as a whole. Like, if this was supposed to be better than 2018 and Kills, and was supposed to be a better send-off in either Halloween 2 for 1981 or H2O, yeah, it did not accomplish that. But it wasn't terrible. Before you guys think this is going to be a rant, this is not going to be a rant. So, but here's some comparisons. You guys know Infinity War and Endgame, where Infinity War is the 100% action movie and the villain is the character that gets the most screen time and the actual protagonist of the movie. And Endgame is more the drama, where the action is not until the final half, and the actual protagonists of that franchise are the protagonists again. This can be pretty much said for Kills and Ends, where Kills is the one with the Infinity War tone, where it gets straight into the horror right away, with zero build-up. Just goes into the horror straight away, just gets to the point. Halloween Ends is the one with the Endgame tone, is the more drama, and the kills don't really happen until the second half. Except while Endgame was still phenomenal, even if Infinity War was slightly better than that film, Ends was much weaker than its two predecessors. Like, it just felt like this plot solely just happened, all because a few people had to be such crybabies about how much they hated Halloween Kills. Like, I get it, you guys didn't like it, I can understand that, but some people seem to act like Halloween Kills is a big disgrace to cinema, is a big travesty to our lives, and the worst Halloween movie ever made. When we literally already have the Rob Zombie trashology, the Thorn trashology, and Resurrection of all fucking movies are way worse than Kills ever was. Kills was no masterpiece, yeah. There were some problems I really had with it, like the evil dies a night chant and the mob being idiots. But I enjoyed it for being a dumb, fun, gory slasher fic. I knew Kills was not going to be a masterpiece, so I just walked in turning my brain off. So I didn't really care. Like, I just walked in, turned my brain off. I knew it wasn't going to get an Oscar-worthy, phenomenal film. Like, clearly some people were probably expecting, but come on, guys. Is every Halloween sequel going to be a masterpiece? No. Never will. And as soon as I heard that Ends was going to be rewritten and set in the present day entirely, when it was already scheduled for this year, that purely had me worried, like, if you're going to rewrite a film, you're going to have to delay it to another year to get it right, or stick with just what you were already planning. Waiting to see the reactions to Kills was not a very smart idea. However, I will say this. It was nice to see the movie go in a slightly more different direction, even if it did not get executed super well, instead of just rehashing the same material over and over again like most slasher sequels. Heck, when it comes to doing something different with Michael Myers or something different with the Halloween franchise, I think this movie did it slightly better than how the stupid ways that Curse of Michael Myers did, where they revealed Michael's origin, where he was possessed by a cult, or Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, where they made Michael a fucking hobo, revealed his face, had him take off his mask and yell, "Die!" At the end of the director's cut of that movie. Yeah, which is still the worst design of Michael Myers ever. But, and the opening scene felt kind of weird. Like, from the opening scene, you can tell this is not going to be like any Halloween movie before it. Like, it literally starts off with a radio announcement. And, like, I was confused, like, when opening logo starts, like, what the? Am I watching the right movie? This doesn't feel like I'm watching Halloween Ends. Like, it literally starts off with a radio announcement playing for the opening logos. Like, and as the movie goes on, you wonder if this is even part of the same trilogy, considering how different it feels. Now, that's not a bad thing, though. This finally does tread new grounds in a series that has been around for over 4 years, and you truly don't know how it's going to play out over the course of its runtime. It's nice to see a Halloween movie that isn't just set up for most of the characters to be murdered. While there's still some of that here, it's not the focus. And just ever since John Carpenter's original masterpiece Halloween came out in 1978, various sequels and reboots have tried to supply Michael with definite motivations and a backstory, but somehow it never sticks. Just the same. He keeps coming back, he keeps coming back, he keeps coming back somehow, even though he's technically 100% human and somehow is a mortal terminating killing machine. But anyway, let's get on with the good qualities now. When it comes to the good qualities, I will say for the good qualities, first off, is definitely James Jude Courtney's performance as Michael Myers, aka The Shape. He is definitely my third favorite Michael behind Nick Castle and Dick Warlock. Second of all, I love the little tribute to John Carpenter's other masterpiece of fame in the beginning, where Corey, who I'm going to get to in a bit, and the kid he's babysitting, who I'm also going to get into a bit, are watching this clip from The Thing, and I really like they threw in a clip from another John Carpenter classic in this movie here. I really like there was a good little throwback to The Thing, to one of my favorite movies of all time, The Thing here. In the opening scene. I also really did like when Michael Myers finally did appear, and his design was pretty perfect as well. Like, well, it does look kind of somewhat the same as Kills. The mask now has a bunch of mold growing on the burn side since it's been 4 years since the events of Kills. Another good quality I also like once again was Jamie Lee Curtis's performance as Laurie Strode. Speaking of Laurie Strode, if you guys were unsatisfied with her screen time in Kills, well, don't worry, because she is way more useful in this film compared to Kills, where she was kind of in a hospital room the whole time. And I get you guys were mad she didn't have screen time, but you guys do need to remember, she was literally injured because of Halloween 2018, because of the injury she got in Halloween 2018 at the end. So she kind of couldn't really be in the movie much. Like, she was kind of still wounded from Michael's attacks. So at least there was kind of a reason she wasn't in the movie much. And when she did start to slowly recover and actually did try to get some use, some stupid mob member got pretty much punched into one of her wounds. Again, pretty much sent her back to the hospital bed. So basically, it's that one hospital guy's fault that Laura's attempt to be useful in the Kills got ruined. And what I can say is Green and his writing team, which includes himself, along with Paul Brad Logan, Chris Bernier, and Danny McBride, they give Jamie Lee's Laurie, don't mean to spoil this, guys, but I'm going to have to spoil this anyway, the send-off she so deserves. Unlike how Resurrection tried to do so, she gets a way better send-off here than in the H2O duology. And when it comes to the kill scenes, well, the kill scenes, yeah, they're brutal, they're creative, the brutal kills are there. Though they're a little more measured and purposeful here than in Halloween Kills. Unlike Halloween Kills, which is gnarly, the kills were excessively graphic, the kills were brutal in Kills. They're a little more toned down here, but they're still pretty brutal, but they're more measured. They're kind of more like 2018's Kills. Also, the score for this movie is pretty phenomenal, especially the iconic theme song. And finally, for good qualities, my favorite one of the film is where Michael and Laurie's final fight, the moment most of us were waiting for, finally happened. I won't spoil much for the final fight since it just came out, but I will say this. How Michael's defeated is perfectly satisfying, and is a pretty good way to make sure he never comes back. Even if that guy does find some stupid-ass way to revive him. Like, I really hope they don't. If they do revive this fucker, they better not go another resurrection route. I swear to God. But, however, it's not as good of a send-off as Halloween 2's send-off or H2O's send-off to the character was. But anyway, now we're on to the bad qualities of the film. And here is what I am going to spoil. Michael Myers doesn't really appear in the film much. He doesn't really appear till the second half of the movie. He's in like a few scenes until the very end. Instead, he very much gets substituted for a new character named Corey, who is the biggest worry I had when they advertised this film. Like, I originally feared that he was going to be the new antagonist of the film, and Michael was never even going to be in the film. But thankfully, they did not do that. And while the story is compelling and the acting is excellent, the direction just feels off. Like, it's like an inexperienced film studio had put it together, but just the random execution of the scenes and story and some of the characters' actions just don't ring true as a result. And anyways, on to Corey anyway. I did not even find Corey to be an interesting character to sit through because he was never introduced in the other two movies at all and was just thrown in this movie. Plus, this subplot makes no sense. Corey was locked in a room by his bratty kid he was babysitting as a prank. Once he managed to kick the door open, the boy was on the other end and ended up sent flying, following several stories to his death. Corey was acquitted on trial, but many people won't let him forget the incident. And the whole Corey turning into Myers felt way too forced, and the idea reminded me of what one of the other older movies tried to do with Michael's niece, like Halloween 4. And the way they described evil just reminds me of the thorn curse. It's like a disease, not just a personality disorder. And second of all, like I said, Michael Myers does not even appear in this movie that much, except for the second half of the film. So if this is the last film of the series, you'd think he'd still be in the movie way more than just the second half of the film. And I also did feel like while his defeat was satisfying, it was kind of a bit too easy, honestly. But I'm not going to spoil much, but his defeat happens a little too quick. I also can't agree, the more ambitious and supernatural tone of this movie is going to put many fans off. Look at Curse and RZ's Age 2. They tried that tone, and they were still pieces of shit, regardless. But once again, I will admit, the supernatural tone was handled way better here than how those two crapfests tried to do it. And if you guys like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I can respect if you like it. I still hate it. I still think it's terrible. That's my opinion. And another bad quality is that most of the runtime feels like they're taking certain scenes from plenty of other horror movies, or concepts like Friday the 13th Part 5, Hellraiser, etc. There are scenes that even get borrowed and recreated from the 1978 original. Now, I did like the flashbacks and kills, but they were not just recreated scenes and kills, and they were newly filmed flashbacks with a de-aging that worked perfectly well. Instead, which was why they worked so well. This one, it just kind of feels like the flashbacks were just thrown in for fan service. Yeah. And finally, the ending is pretty predictable, despite the pretty good showdown between Laurie and Michael, because, well, this is the final chapter of the trilogy, so of course it's gonna end this way. I won't spoil how it ends, but if you go see this movie, you're probably gonna see this ending happening a mile away. That's pretty much it for my bad qualities. When the ending comes around, it's done well and is very visceral, but it feels somewhat of an anticlimax after the journey we've gone through in this movie alone, to say nothing about all the movies that came before it. Now, anyway, even though I'm more mixed on this film, it was still a decent experience overall. It got bonus points just for being a Halloween movie and having Jamie as a lead again and not killing her off and letting her have a happy ending this time. And it made it a nostalgic experience more than anything. So anyway, in the end, Halloween Ends is not a terrible movie per se. It did not piss me off like a lot of man babies apparently got all pissed off because it wasn't the same thing. Because, oh, boo-hoo, it's not the same old, and Michael's barely in the movie, it's not gory kills again. But it is not the most fitting way to end a decades-long horror franchise that's obviously going to come back in a few years with another reboot that I will not be watching, because this is the last Halloween movie I'm watching. In my final recommendation, I think this is better as just a streaming option, because it also has hit streaming today as well. Anyway, that's it for my review of Halloween Ends. If you're wondering how I'm going to rank Halloween Ends, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you want to see this trilogy end, you may not get the results you want, so I would just stream this one online instead. If you're wondering how I'm going to rank Halloween Ends, I am going to give Halloween Ends a 6 out of 10. And there we go. That wraps up my review for Halloween Ends, and I gotta say, now, this was decent once again. But it's probably going to depend on other people's opinions, but it didn't really piss me off. And also be sure to stay tuned this weekend for my whole Halloween re-ranking, which will be including Halloween Ends, which will be this weekend. And yeah, until then, guys, that will be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. And if you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.